Hi, Cedric. Tracy.
Hi everyone, hi
Um,
Jonathan, Tracy.
How's it going?
All good, very intense, but very happy to be here with everyone.
Nice. Tracy, how about you?
Very well. Had a good week. Start of the week so far.
Sounds really good. All right. So, as usual, the usual way, just let us know in the comment section where you're joining us from as a way to engage with you. We'll do that for maximum 59 seconds, and we jump straight into today's webinar. So, head over to the comment section. Let us know where you're joining us from. Who we have? Do we have a global community? Last time we had a lot of people from Asia. Cedric, do you remember?
Wait, who do we have?
We have this one,
Yeah,
UK, London. Okay, good.
perfect. Oh,
Dubai.
hi. Hi Jen. Hope everything is fine in Dubai.
Yeah, with this global issue.
Yeah.
Perfect. Don't hesitate to
Nairobi,
share.
Kenya,
Oh,
London.
it came at once. Nairobi. Oh, our friends from Tier Fun. Great to see everyone.
Telephone people, yeah.
Okay, again from Dubai. Wow. London, Christina. Ah, Philomena, good to see you. Philomena
Mariam
from
for Spain.
Marion. Marjorie, okay. It's great to see webinar after webinar, some common,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mary from Joburg, Jordan Burrs. Uganda.
Okay, David again from Dubai. Oh, we have a big community from Dubai actually.
It's actually the global community right now.
Louisa from Belgium. Hi, Louisa. Okay, great. Netherlands, Scotland, Belgium, again Dubai.
Wow. Yeah.
Have fun.
Perfect. Oh, our friends from Tree Aid. Great to see you. Access Agriculture. Zambia as well. Great. So,
Zambia. So,
okay, great.
Tracy, do you agree that, Tracy and Cedric, do you agree that we do have a global community right now?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
no one from
Quite
France.
diverse. I
The only one
don't
is
see anyone from India either.
India
But
India.
Nepal, quite a few.
and Nepal.
Yeah,
At,
Nepal.
at least two people from Nepal. Very interesting. Uganda.
All right. Now that we have set the stage, wherever you're joining us from, good morning, good afternoon. I want to say a pleasant welcome to this webinar. I have two of my colleagues, Cedric and Tracy, which they will introduce themselves. And with that being said, Cedric, would you mind sharing your screen with the slides?
Sure, I will do it right now. If I find actually the right window, perfect, I have it. Okay, perfect. Up, I'm sharing. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect, great. So thank you again, everyone from everywhere in the world to join with us today. We are very happy to be pushing forward one of the things that we have been working on for quite some time, which is the accelerator. We had already two cohorts within the Human Planet Accelerator, and we are actually launching a third cohort for by the end of this month. So the objectives today uh, and tomorrow and the after, because this will be 3 days webinar. So same time tomorrow and same time on Wednesday, we will be joined by other team members and several speakers from previous cohorts, also some investors, some funders, some NGOs who will join us to share a bit more. And the idea is actually to share from Human Planet, how we actually support NGOs, startups, social enterprise to actually fundraise, specifically in this very challenging environment, and also to share a bit more about the accelerator. So today's session, which is actually called How to Succeed in Fundraising, where we'll start by the most difficult topic, actually, which is really fundraising, how we fundraise, what are the things to do, what we shouldn't do, and also we'll share some case studies that we had from, from our previous members and also some success stories where they have actually fundraised successfully and try to explain why it happened. So I think the live chat is open. So don't hesitate to write questions. We'll have a Q&A sessions towards the end of the webinar. We will start with actually explaining a bit on fundraising, how we do it. We will also show some case studies, and at the end we'll have the Q&A. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put it in the chat, and we will pick up the questions towards the end of the session. So quickly, for the ones who don't know us yet, so we are part of Human Planet. Human Planet is actually an impact finance advisory firm where we link impactful projects with social and environmental positive impact for the society and for the planet. And we link these projects and these initiatives with funders, be it donors, investors, the UN, international organizations, corporates, where we have access to pool of capital to be directed to impactful projects. And we are actually specialized in financial engineering. So we are able to find the right structures and the financing and to put it in place so we can diversify the access to funders. That's actually what we will explain a bit later during the session. Quickly on our ecosystem, because what is a bit unique about Human Planet is that we work in different universe, I would say. So on one side, the NGOs or the startups or the social enterprises, which actually deliver the impact on the ground and innovate and are actually very dedicated to find solutions to the most challenges in the world today. And we actually connect them with other investors and donors. So you see quite a few icons here, be it private investors, funds, donors, bilateral organizations, international organizations, the UN, the EU, all these type of different pools of funders, and also corporates who actually have, like the IKEA Foundation and other foundations within the corporate world who have specific mandates to fund impact projects. And we have also several companies and organizations which are what we call the investees, which actually are in our portfolio, which means that we have already structured products with them. And we work across these different ecosystems to unlock social and environmental impact. Before we start, we wanted to give you the opportunity actually to book, we would say a consultation, it's more a meeting with us, so that if you have any questions about the accelerator, about anything, actually we are happy to connect with you for 20 to 30 minutes to hear about your project or your program and share with you, our feedback or see how we can work together. So you can scan this QR code. It will actually send you to the Calendly, which is directly on my email. And after within the team, we will coordinate to be able to answer to all the meetings. And you will see we have quite some slots open for the next few days. So happy to have a consultation, someone from the team who will actually discuss with you, actually provide you feedback on the right way to go forward, and also share a bit more about the accelerator itself. If we will explain a bit later, but if you want to actually apply also for the accelerator, a second QR code which give you access to the form. It's also available on our website, and we will share it again after. We will also explain a bit more about the accelerator itself. But before we start, we have two questions to know a bit more. So we know the locations. Many people from Dubai, it seems, and people from all around the world. But we want to know a bit more about you in terms of your fundraising journey. So we have a first question, which is showing here, which is related to your fundraising journey. So where are you in terms of fundraising today? Have you started? Not yet. Exploring options, actively fundraising. You have already raised successfully, and you are considering a new round. So happy to get your answer, and we will see a bit. I don't know if you have some details in terms of percentage, Jonathan, um, from the attendees.
Yeah, Cedric, the number is picking up. People are filling in. We have 55 responses, but up to now. As you can see, we have 9% that haven't started yet. We also have exploring option. We have 35%. It's keep picking up. And actively fundraising, we have 44% of the attendees, and we have already raised capital. We have 11%. So 11% of the submission says that they've already raised capital, and we have 43% actively fundraising. Quite good number.
Okay, great. So you're at the right place, actually. We will try to share the best that we can, a bit our small recipe and some insights from our team. Second question, what is your biggest fundraising challenge? We already know, I mean, we already have ideas, but it would be great to hear from you in the audience. So is your biggest challenge, and I don't know if we can show the question will pop
So
up.
yeah, we cannot pull that off for the live pool because it's one at a time.
Okay.
However, leave the responses in the comment section and we can just take it from there.
Yeah, so what you can do,
And there's
yeah,
some questions also, one in the chat which from Donna asking if fundraising of investment capital, and another from Karen. When you say fundraising, you mean innovative finance, not the usual fundraising? There's yeah, just a bit of confusion about what you mean exactly. So I don't know if you want to dive into what kinds of funds we're talking about.
Uh, Tracy, that's really good. But let's go over the presentations and then we'll get to the Q&A session. We can address all the questions. As opposed to, it's still a bit of distraction if we answer the question at the same time presenting the slide. Is that okay?
Oh no, I think the question is about the poll question.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay. So do you want to take it?
yeah. So the question for the poll question is what we mean by fundraising, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so any type of fundraising actually, be it blended finance or from donors or from private capital. Yeah. So what we can do for the second question, you can write A, B, C, or D. So A, if you are finding the right if your biggest challenge actually is to find the right investors or donors. B, if it's more an issue around the structuring. C, if the challenge is to demonstrate or to measure the actual impact to be able to share with the donors or the investors. And D, if it's more related to the pitch, if the issue is to actually write a pitch or a proposal. I don't see do we see some answers in the chat? You're on mute, John.
The
Yeah.
comments are putting up in the chat.
And do you see more A, B, C, or D?
Yeah, we have a lot of eights. A,
A?
B, E. Yeah, a lot of eights. I think eight
Okay.
is actually the majority.
A majority. Okay, so
Yeah.
everyone can write a pitch actually, which is great. Okay, so yeah, so finding the right investor will share a bit in the yeah in the presentation. It's actually it's a question of so one is having the right network, but the second one is like actually if you don't have the network, you can get into networks and you can get into the right investors if you have the right story and the right message. So we'll deep dive a bit into this. Okay, perfect. So I suggest that we because time flies, we will start with a quick presentation around the different, what we wanted to share, and after we'll deep dive in some of the success stories, and after let's open it to questions. So what we are specialized actually at Human Planet is not only fundraising traditional philanthropic capital for NGOs or traditional, kind of VC capital for startups, but we are actually in a space which is between philanthropy and commercial capital, which is called impact capital. Okay, or impact finance, sustainable finance, all these types of things. We will explain during the three webinars, deep dive in the details. But today, if you look at the world outside, which is quite challenging. The philanthropic world, or what we call the global aid and the grants, are actually very needed, but it's kind of reducing. If you look at specifically, if you take into account the public aid, it's quite reducing with budgets going into defense, the grants, also what happened in the US with a different political agenda. So philanthropy is a bit reducing, and commercial capital on the other side, it's still very strong. So we are in a niche which is in between philanthropic and commercial capital, which is impact capital, which means taking the best of the philanthropy, which means the impact, and also the best of the commercial capital, which is the scalability and the innovation and business models, and getting into a mixed or blended model, which is the impact finance. Okay, so you will see, we will share after some of the previous cohort members or some of our partners who moved from philanthropy, only relying on grants, to models where we have set up financial models so that they can actually attract commercial capital. Because like what you see on the side, the same size, the two bubbles on the left and on the right, but it's actually the difference is probably 100x, So there is a lot of capital. And compared to what we usually think, the investors in the commercial capital side, they are not necessarily averse to having positive impact. So some of them actually want to have positive impact, but it's just that they don't find the right projects or the right risk returns, for the investments or the right structures. And this is actually why we have developed the accelerator to push, NGOs, startups, social enterprise to get access to this big pool of capital. So this is where we are. If you look at actually impact capital, so these are just to show a bit in terms of numbers, this is something which is growing very rapidly. Why? Because you have actually a big push also from the EU, where all the investors have actually a taxonomy and a framework to be able to get into the financing, impact finance. And also, the private capital is still here, and there is more and more data, which means the first ones, it was around 2008, who started to develop investments in the space, are starting to show results. And it's always like in any investment, sometimes it fails, sometimes it succeeds. But what we see, if you compare to traditional investment, it's not philanthropy. You can actually generate returns for investors and have positive impact in the same time. So there is this more and more data which is coming up. And today, impact capital, you have actually some big, big funds which are into the billions of or hundreds of millions of dollars, which are very interesting to mobilize. So each of you are actually in the different field. And if you look at this type of blended capital, this is where the money goes or the investment is focused. So there is a lot on financial inclusion and financial inclusion and SME growth, which actually are very interesting. And also, what we realize when we work with NGOs or social enterprise, sometimes you actually work on financial inclusion or SME finance without, or you have an opportunity to develop something in this space, and you don't know it yet. So that's why if you want to book a consultation, happy to share on this. Clean energy, so everything related to energy, specifically today with the AI, which is coming up. There is a lot of need for energy, and it will become one of the biggest challenges in the future. So clean energy is definitely an area of investment. Sustainable agriculture, regenerative agriculture, carbon projects, also something which is in very high demand. And after healthcare and education. So healthcare and education, the numbers are a bit lower. So it's sometimes a bit more challenging to find investors or donors because the pool is a bit smaller compared to SME finance, for instance. But there is definitely interest. And what it means for you, if you are in healthcare or education, is that you really need to have your pitch and your case, which is very strong. So this is just to share a bit on where the capital is flowing. If we look at the different tools that we actually develop, we will have time during the webinars to go through it, but just so that you can see a bit where, what it means. So the first one is actually traditional grants in terms of fundraising. So we include this in our kind of tools because there is always grants. There has always been grants, given in this world today. It will continue, even if it's decreasing a bit, but it's very important tool. So this is one. The second one is actually the impact bonds. We will deep dive a bit today in impact bonds with successful, fundraising that we have done with some of our partners, where they have raised impact bonds. I think in what we'll see today, it was around $5 to $10 million of fundraised. The third one is blended finance. Blended finance is actually when you mix philanthropy and commercial capital, and we will share. So this will have a session tomorrow or day after where we'll deep dive into the blended finance model tomorrow. After impact equity and debt, this is more for social enterprise or for startups where you fundraise, either you go for a loan or you go for an investor who will invest in your equity, or in between, you can have convertibles. But actually, what is interesting, if you are into the impact, there can be some innovation to be made. And the last one, green bonds and social bonds, which are, again, a bit technical. We will discuss it during the next sessions. But yeah, so these 3, 4, 5 concepts, it's really like the toolbox of innovative finance, where when we work on a new case, either we go for grants, for a bit of blended finance, for impact bonds, for debt, for equity, and actually it depends on your project and what is needed. But this is why the pool of capital in the private investors is so big that you have room for every type of investment. So I'm sure there will be some questions around these tools. If you have any question, you can type now, and we will take it further during we'll save some time for Q&A. So what investors are looking for, we have actually, Human Planet, we have structured, I think it's more than $500 million of investment, more than 50 projects. So, it's always the same questions. We know we have the network, we know what they are looking for. And I think the first one is really the theory of change, which means do you have a vision? Do you have a clear vision? And can you articulate the change that you want to accomplish? This is really key. And sometimes we see some, organizations a bit chasing funding and adapting, the message based on the funder. It's something we need to do sometimes, but you really need to keep the core, which is your DNA, which is why your organization exists and what you want to achieve in terms of impact. So this is key. The second one is financial sustainability and the scalability also of the impact. So even if it's a donor, an investor, any type of funder, they want the money to be used in something that is sustainable and potentially scalable. So you need to show that if you get $1, be it in grant or be it in equity or whatever tool, this $1 will generate today significant impact, but also in the future potential outcomes, that will have kind of multiplier effect. So $1 given to you today can result actually of $10 of positive impact in the future. So you need to demonstrate, and not that if they give you $1 today, after 1 year there is no program anymore. And so this type of scalability, sustainability is very important. You will get the question. Number 3 is around the impact. So I'm sure that every one of you already measure impact and know the type of beneficiaries of your projects, of your programs. Um, but actually, there is a way also to show it. Uh, Even, for instance, some funders don't actually like the word beneficiaries because it looks a bit passive, you know. So you need to find also the way to explain what you measure. So having this set of metrics, and the way we recommend is to have 4 to 5 key metrics that are very easy to understand. So if it's school, it's how many children have access to schools, this type of numbers, very easy to understand, that you share in your deck. And in addition to this, to have additional metrics which are a bit more complex, a bit more qualitative, which could be, so if we keep it with the schools, what is the level of satisfaction of the children? Do we see an improvement in their ratings at school? Also, girls compared to boys. Are we inclusive in terms of access for girls to school, access to, also for disabilities, all types of metrics, which are much more complex, but which will demonstrate that you actually know your topic and that you also have a very good understanding of the impact. So this is for number 3, measurable impact. And number 4, a strong team and governance. Very important, especially for the ones that provide you with grants. You need a team that has already demonstrated, good experience with success stories to share, and governance in place, which means that you need to demonstrate the right decisions will be made, and that there is not like only one person taking one decision, but there is a kind of collective approach. And if there is a conflict or an issue, that everything will be transparent with the donors or the investors. Okay, so these are really the 4 pillars of what everyone, I mean, investors or funders are looking for. And after we'll see, during the accelerator, actually, we deep dive in each of these pillars and we adjust the case. So if we actually share a bit of our approach, and this is also the way we work within the accelerator, when you actually fundraise, the fundraising is actually the last step of what you want to do. And we have a 5-step approach, which starts with a diagnostic, where we actually work with you to identify, understand better the situation of your project, who are the different stakeholders within your project, outside your project, also a mapping of potential funders, etc., etc. Once we have done this diagnostic, which is a bit the feasibility study, we move to the second phase, which is the design, where we actually are more proactive. We define what is the impact framework, what metrics we want to measure, if there is any economics that are in place, what are the economics of the model? If it's a startups, what are the different areas for growth, the different metrics, evaluation, the marketing channel, the acquisition of client, etc., etc. So we really design actually the tools, the financial tools that will be aligned with your project. And after build, this is actually when we start building with you the financial solution, the program, and we go to step number 4, which is a connection with investors. But what is important to note is that when we go to the investors, we have done all the work before, which means we know the project by heart in each of the figures, and we have already anticipated all the questions that can go. Also, one thing that we do, and I think it's a good practice, actually, the investor, we start at step number 1. So when we start the diagnostic and the design, and we start to understand a bit, in our network, and I'm sure in your network it's the same, it's always best to go to 2, 3, 4 investors or donors that you know well, and it's not like one shot, you can speak to them and after get back to them, but to test actually the idea and get their feedback. And this is something very important to be what we call market fit. Because if you do this 4 times and it goes well, that means there is a good chance that your program or your financing design is okay. If you do it, and three have different, are a bit skeptic, there could be an issue for the program. Okay, so this is for us. We do it every day. Even yesterday, I did it for a program which is in a reforestation project, where we got feedback on a specific program, and we will include this feedback so that when we go to the design, etc., we actually know, that there is a set of investors or donors who actually have kind of given their green light for this. Okay. And after we scale, what we do when we do the investor mapping is that you always need to have by categories. You have investors, grant providers, different types of grant providers. You have the ones which are like the EU, Germany, France, etc., etc. There will be the corporates, there will be foundations, family offices, banks, etc. And for each of them, you go with a list to have it. And after you find, and also you can do it with AI. It's quite easy to know if your program is aligned with their strategy, and you select the top five for each category, and after you go and pitch. Either you have access, you check with your network if you don't have access, or there is no shame to do also a cold outreach where you find a contact on LinkedIn or you get access to an email and you actually share um, your pitch, and you would be surprised that it's not a low probability to get a response. So even if it's not a fit, they like to see something from the market and they will provide feedback. Okay, so this is the end-to-end approach, which is quite extensive. A few words about the accelerator so everything we have shared, that's what we do actually in the accelerator. We have three types or three programs, one which is a scale-up, one which is the incubator, and one which is a webinar series. The scale-up is actually, so it's 5 months. It's more for the organizations that are looking, who have experience already in fundraising, who are used to fundraise, regularly and want to scale or to diversify their access to fundraising, potentially explore blended finance, impact bonds, all these things, and really try to scale through fundraising. For the one which are more, kind of younger or smaller, we are more early stage. We have actually developed an incubator program which is more less hands-on, but which provide access to the team so that we can provide coaching sessions, advice. Also, we do the connections with our network, and we support you in getting access to funders. And the last one, which is the light touch, which are the webinar series where we have sessions. So actually it's written three, but it's more than three. We have webinars where we bring the community together. We bring ourselves, also investors, speakers, and it's kind of a training for the group to go forward, thematic after thematic, and we share everything. So yeah, so one thing to mention about the accelerator, to be transparent, it's actually there will be a fee. This is not a free program. The fee will actually depend on the number of attendees who are selected, and we can share this one when we see the applications and we see the level of interest. One thing to share also is that we really do this accelerator to be at the lowest cost feasible, because for us it's really something to support the community to scale. So we look forward to see the applications. We have shared the link. Also, we actually are selective. So it's not because you apply that you would be selected. You will definitely get feedback, but we actually also because it's our own, reputation, we cannot, if something is not market fit or won't succeed in fundraising, it's better to give you like honest feedback that will help you also to to progress, to learn, instead of getting you in the accelerator and knowing the chance of success is quite low. So that's why there is a kind of onboarding phase where we actually review the applications, we have a call with you, we understand better, we provide feedback. If it can move forward, we also choose which program is the best fit. And if not, we actually, provide feedback, and we're here to support and to work with, with you. Jonathan?
Yeah, Cedric, just out of what you just mentioned, I was thinking maybe from an audience perspective, right? From our community perspective.
Yeah.
The accelerator, what kind of organization are you looking for? Are you looking for large organization, small organization? And can you tell the community the type of organization that we work with?
Yeah. So actually, yeah, we will share. So we are supposed to have someone today who actually could not join for a family emergency right now, but you will see tomorrow and after members, from the previous accelerator cohorts. But typically the scale up is more for NGOs, startups, or social enterprise who are already a bit established, which means minimum, I would say, 3 to 4 years of experience, and who are looking for fundraising. I would say in terms of figures, minimum $500,000 for programs to fit, this one. Usually, we try to push to get at least $1 million fundraising into their programs, even if we can split into 2 to 3, 4 years. But these are the type of, for the scale up, it's more already established NGOs or startups or social enterprise. After, the incubator is actually something new because we have received a lot of requests from very early stage entrepreneurs, NGOs, um, who actually are either in the ID stage or already established, but really, bootstrapping, and you need to, each dollar counts, so you can't, you need to think about the team first. So for this one, the incubator is actually a good fit, because we actually give you access to our support as coach, and we coach you to grow and to go in this direction. Okay, and the webinar series is actually really for if you want to learn more and to get more familiar with the best practice and the innovative finance.
Awesome.
Great. Perfect. So I will actually just share again the QR codes for the consultations, which is actually if you want um, to book a meeting with us, I will be actually the one receiving the invites. And after, within the team, we will direct, either I will take the call, or someone from the team will actually be on the call, but will definitely take all the attention it needs. And we are happy to understand better your program, your organization, and share feedback and explain if the accelerator is a good fit. Also, if you want directly to apply, there is another QR code which is here, which is the application. You can also find it on our website to apply for the accelerator. So perfect. So now let's deep dive. So I see we have only 20 minutes left, actually, I spoke too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
We have to fast forward this.
Okay, so let's start with one. Tracy, do you want to? So we have one which is an development impact bond, actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, if you want to share a bit this one, and after we'll see. Maybe we should take questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Cedric. Thanks, thanks, Jonathan, as well. So when we worked on this impact bond, Neary's foundation was trying to look for a way to move away from pure emergency humanitarian aid in areas like Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey, which had received over 6 million refugees. So rather than just give them the support that they need in the moment, they wanted to improve their livelihoods going forward. So what they decided to do was a strategic shift from emergency assistance to sustainable livelihoods, and they specifically worked on micro business development and life skills training. We at Human Planet, which was then called COIS, had worked with them over the entire life cycle of this project, right from the feasibility through to the structuring and the execution. So, what was designed was a development impact bond with the first tranche that had $13.5 million over 4 years. And the key investors on the investor side who put in the initial capital were DFC and Ford. Yeah, and so the way that the bond works is that the program is financed by the social investors. As you can see, the DFC, the US, I think Invest Corp and Ford, and they finance the program so that NEF could then um, give a training to all of these beneficiaries and help them to start a business a year. And at the end of the program, we actually had over 4 years, we saw some amazing results. It closed at the end of last year, where 98% of the businesses were running, and also each of the families had improved their spending capacity by 2 standard deviations. So at the end of this project, after the evaluation, then the outcome funders, which was IKEA Foundation, Novo Norad, and I think it's Novo Nordisk, sorry, they repaid the social investors. So this was a very successful program which ran and gave quite a good return on 20% higher return on this bond through the project. And the way that it improved sort of like funding in the space is it was obviously one of the first few humanitarian development impact bonds, the first rather. And it went from what we saw is that Neary's Foundation went from having programs which were funded for a short amount of time to something which was scalable and demonstrated results and could also achieve exactly the goals that it set out to do, which is what you can see here, which is the impact metrics which were designed at the start of the project. And our role in this was we helped them to decide how the program should be implemented, how the bond should be structured. We worked on the structuring and we also worked on the execution to help them to see it through and take the right decisions for all the parties involved. So yeah, that was, I think, a very fundamental shift in the way that fundraising had worked for them up to that point. Cedric, do you want to add anything?
Next, last Cedric. It's another case study there.
Yeah, perfect. No, no, it's great. And I think what is very interesting here is that you actually really have on one side the foundations, like the IKEA Foundation, working jointly with like the investors, like FAIRD is actually an impact fund. I mean, it's well known in the impact, I mean, in the finance world, but not potentially not in the NGO world, I would say. But so that's what was very interesting in this case is that we got an impact investor, a fund like FAIRD, being able to invest in refugee camps, which was actually the first time it happened. So that's why this one we are very happy also because we closed, it was a 4 to 5 years bond, and we finalized it last year, and I think we had very good results. It was a great experience, a lot of impact. And when we see the numbers, it's actually very interesting. So yeah, so these are the type of structures that are interesting to do. I think we can maybe stop here for the case studies. We have 15 minutes. Let's maybe go through the Q&A, and if we have some time, I can share a bit more of the track record or the other projects. But it would be great to go in Q&A first.
Okay, thank you, Cedric. So before we jump into the Q&A, if you have any question in the meantime, please raise your hand. We can bring it up stage to ask the question directly to our speakers, Cedric and Tracy. So I have a first question here, a couple of questions. We have this person wants you to repeat the organization DNA. I'm not sure what this person meant, but do you get the idea? May
The
you
question is,
repeat organization DNA?
yeah, I mentioned DNA. Yeah, so the question is what it means, right?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay, so what I mean is actually where when we say the DNA of the organization is actually what is your vision and your mission. So really, why the organization exists, right? So some of the some organization really the key. So we have, for instance, one of our cohort members today. They're into education and they provide improved access to education in in several countries in Africa. So this is actually what they do, So that what I call the DNA is like the organization is really, it's the mission of the organization. So your mission should be very clear and the vision as well. And even if, sometimes depending on the grant or if you want to pitch, someone or someone else, you can adjust your story or your message so that it's strategic fit, but don't compromise on the mission.
Good. So I hope that answers your question. We have another one here. Are there accelerator stages? Are donors involved in the process as well?
Yeah, yes, exactly. So donors, investors. So as I mentioned in one of the slides, we have like several steps: design, assessment, structuring, outreach. And what we do for each of the members, we actually open our network of investors on the fundraising. We do it from the beginning. And usually, for each of the members, and usually, I mean, by best practice, we have a list of between 50 to 100 organizations or grant providers or investors, usually around 80 to 100. And we do the outreach like this. Yeah, so they are definitely involved in the process.
Okay, there's another question about pricing. What is the cost for the program, since you said the webinar is free? I think the person meant the accelerator program.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know yet because the pricing will be defined based on the number of consultations and based on the number of applicants. So if we can, have enough applicants, we actually try to decrease the price. So we can't share it right now. It will be uh, maybe what we can share is actually the price we had last year. It was between for the scale up between 8,000 euros to 10,000 euros per month for 4 to 5 months for the scale up program. That's why it's more for established organizations. And after the incubator is much cheaper, is around $1,000 to 1,500, no, 1,000 euros to 1,500 euros per month for 4 to 5 months as well. Because we are less involved. Because for the scale up, we have a team which actually delivers the work. For the incubator is more around coaching sessions, and we have a team, but less involved in the deliverables, right? And after the webinar series, I need to double check, but this is a type of cost. But again, we'll try to minimize as much as we can, and the cost is actually the cost to cover our team cost mainly. So I hope it
It's
answers.
quite another interesting question. So Gloria, I hope that answer your question. This one say, what are the deadline dates for each of the programs? So we're talking about the accelerator and the incubator.
Exactly. So deadline is actually because we like to start the cohort at once. So the deadline will be at the end of this month.
Okay.
So yes, if I'm right. Yeah, in the next 2 weeks, because we want also to take time to do the consultations and the you know and the meetings for the scale up. What we consider is to have usually we have like 4, 5 slots. So we receive a lot of applications, but we try to keep it to 4 to 5 to provide quality work. The incubator, we don't know yet. We can have more slots for the incubator, but this is what we have. And the deadline at the end of this month, we launch and we start in May. We start first week of May.
Okay, I think this one's for you, Tracy. In the case study that was shared, the slide mentioned that there was a capital guarantee of 80%. Please, can you explain what this means and who pays who if the outcomes of the program do not meet expected levels? Tracy,
Yeah,
this is for you.
thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for the question. So if we look at the structure of a development impact bond, you have a risk capital investor. So it depends on how you structure it for this specific. So in certain bonds, the risk investor is somebody who would anyway have provided the initial funding for this kind of project, and then maybe they get their capital back when the repayment is done. But in this specific project, since they were commercial investors, as Cedric mentioned, we did have a backstop on the capital. So they would only lose 20% if the outcomes were not met. But the outcome funders were the ones who had agreed to repay at least 80%, and they would pay a bonus or an additional amount beyond the 20% and also above 100% based on the level of outcomes that were achieved. So that's the way that this specific bond was structured, and it also depends a lot on the relationships that you're able to build and the kind of fundraising which happens at the bond development stage, right?
Awesome.
It's good to see that the audience is paying attention to details on the slide. It's a
Yeah.
detailed question.
And the questions are more like every time we have webinar, we got more questions coming in. Sometimes we have to like, okay, you know
Yeah.
what, we can answer everything. Let's do a follow webinar. But there's another question here that says, how can you ensure investor are a good match? That's quite an interesting one. Sajid, this is for you.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing actually, it reminds me something. We cannot guarantee fundraising, just to be clear, because this is also something important to be transparent. When you start fundraising, I mean, the ones who have done fundraising know, when you start fundraising, you know there is a good chance of success, but it doesn't, you cannot predict the market. So. So we know, but we know the match because we have been around, so myself for almost 15, 20 years in the space. The organization, we have structured 50 projects. We know the profile of each investors, and we know also, because we meet them in events, all these things, so we know what they are looking for. So actually, what we do is that we have a database of donors and investors. We know what they have invested in, and we know their strategies, their ticket size, the geographies, the type of project, etc., etc. And actually, we also use AI internally. We have developed our own AI agents, which is something to mention, so that we can match very quickly. And this is why we have a list usually of 80 funders, 80 to 100 funders, and so that we can match. So it's actually based on public information, but also based on our own experience. And one thing to mention, I think what success would look like, and this is what we always say, at the end of the accelerator or at the end of this type of program, if you have been able to design a structure that is market fit, that can attract investors, that you have positive feedback, and if you can receive, a letter of intent or um, a positive answer from an anchor partner or an anchor investor or a funder, this is really, what success will look like. Yeah.
Awesome, Cedric. Thank you so much. Just to add up to that, tomorrow we'll have investor on the next webinar. So feel free to come back and share that question. There's another question. This one is for you, Tracy. How bonds with the NGO sector work? You're on mute, Tracy. Okay, there
Can
you go.
you repeat?
How bonds with the NGO sector work?
So basically, the ones that we have been working on currently, so either we directly work with the NGO if there is enough track record as well as there is enough interest in the market. So what Cedric said about market fit, so we already have a sense of what kinds of programs can be funded. So we do a kind of a deep dive if it's a large enough organization to understand what kind of metrics can be tracked against, or what kind of metrics are currently tracked, and whether there is sufficient appetite to fund those metrics as well, right? And then based on that, we can structure a specific type of bond. So there are a lot of different instruments that you can use, from returnable grants. You also have impact-linked loans. There's a whole uh, range of instruments that's available to you as an NGO based on where you're based and what kinds of lending restrictions or other capital restrictions exist in your market. So based on that, we would structure a bond, and then typically how it works is it's a blend of financial returns as well as social returns, and finding those exact investors who want each of those two things, and making sure that risk investors who take the initial risk of providing the upfront program capital, they are the ones who get repaid eventually in a development impact bond. But there are a lot of other structures as well that exist. And ideally, you would need to work with someone like us or do a lot of research or in-house training to develop that capability to create the structures that would work for your program. I hope that answers, but it is quite broad question.
Thank you, Tracy. Speaking of training, we have another question here to say, do you offer training for staff within the organizations to manage such funds in order to effectively deliver the programs? Cedric.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a training expert actually. Her name is Nicole. She will be with us live for the webinar on Wednesday. So if anyone can join, it would be great. And we actually develop training at each stage if needed. So I think on the design, we have training sessions around what is finance, what is innovative finance, but also in case of fundraising. Sometimes, there can be kind of capacity issue, or you don't know how to manage a bond or a fund. So what we do is that, and actually the speaker today, it was on a fund we are currently launching where we are supporting, is that our team can work jointly with you also after the fundraising, so that we train you to do it, or we integrate, within your team, and someone from our team will work with you for a specific duration, so that they can learn, and there is a kind of handover that happens correctly. If it's and So that's what we did, for instance, for the refugee bond that Tracy did show. We stayed 4 to 5 years in the bond. So this is our commitment also.
Thank you, Cedric. We have 1 minute to go and we will wrap this up. But before we do that, just a quick announcement. Tomorrow have another webinar. Cedric, you want to talk more on that part of tomorrow's session?
Yep. So tomorrow's session will be, let me share my screen. Tomorrow's session will be around,
Innovative funders.
yes, innovative finance tools. So the things that we did share today, impact bonds, blended finance, outcome-based models, we will actually deep dive in the, in this uh, tools and these notions, and we will show actually specific projects and specific stories as well that have been successfully funded, and what it means. So that's what we'll do today, and I will be joined by Sabrin, partner also at Event Planet, also based out of Dubai. So we have quite a few persons from Dubai today. So
Yeah.
feel free to join again, and anyone to join again tomorrow. We will be happy to work together. And again, just before closing, the QR code if you want a meeting to join together, to understand better your project and to share feedback, even to know you better. It would be great because we see quite a few names from webinar to webinar, and also the link or the QR code for the application if you want already to apply. We will receive application for the next 2 weeks or so. Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. There will be a survey after this call. Please feel free to share as many feedback as possible for us. We'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow in tomorrow's session. Thank you, and do have yourself a pleasant evening. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Ciao, ciao.
everyone. See you.